The most dangerous thing about a toxic family argument isn't the shouting. It's the silence that follows, where you sit alone wondering if your memory is actually broken. You replay the conversation in your mind, searching for the moment you became the villain in a story you didn't even recognize. That exhausting mental loop where you can't figure out how you ended up apologizing for something they did, that's not you being confused. That's gaslighting. Here at PsychJive, our mission is to make psychology accessible so you can recognize these patterns and trust yourself again. Today, we're breaking down 9 specific phrases toxic family members use to keep you doubting your reality. These aren't just words, they're tools of manipulation. And once you learn to spot them, you'll have the words to name the manipulation as it's happening, so you can stop the mental tailspin before it starts. No more replaying conversations for hours, just clarity about what's really going on. Phrases 1 to 5. Reality distortion tactics. The first 5 phrases all work the same way. They're designed to make you question what you know to be true. Once you start doubting your own memory and perception, you become easier to control. Let's break down the most common one first. Number 1. I never said that, you're just imagining things. This is the classic reality denial move. You heard it, you remember it clearly, but when you bring it up, suddenly it never happened. Here's what this looks like in real life. Your mom promises to meet you for dinner at 7. You show up. She arrives an hour late. When you mention she said 7, she insists she said 8 and that you must have misheard. You know what you heard, but suddenly you're the one apologizing for the confusion. And here's the part nobody talks about. That hollow feeling in your stomach as you pull out your phone to check the text thread, just to prove to yourself you aren't losing it. You read it 3 times. It says 7, but you still feel uncertain. The goal here is to make you distrust your own memory. Over time, you stop bringing things up because you're never sure if you're remembering correctly. Number 2, you're too sensitive, or you're too emotional. This phrase weaponizes your empathy against you. Instead of acknowledging that they hurt you, they make your feelings the problem. The subtext is that your emotional response is unreasonable, which means they don't have to take responsibility for causing it. Here's the thing though, your feelings are valid data about your experience. They're your internal early warning system that tells you when something isn't right. When someone consistently tells you that your emotions are wrong, they're teaching you to ignore those signals. Over time, you learn to swallow your words before they come out. You shut down to keep the peace. That emotional exile becomes a reflex, and suddenly you're a stranger in your own family, nodding along while your insides scream. If you've heard either of these first 2 phrases, just drop a yes in the comments. It helps other people feel less alone when they see how common this really is. You're already breaking the cycle just by knowing what to look for. Number 3. I was only joking, you need to lighten up. This one trivializes real harm by hiding it under the umbrella of humor. Picture this. You're at a family dinner, and your dad makes a comment about how your creative career is just a hobby until you get a real job. Everyone laughs. You feel the sting. When you say that hurt, suddenly you're the one who can't take a joke. The pattern here is that they get to say whatever they want, and if you object, you're the problem for being too serious. Pay attention to this. Jokes that consistently hurt aren't jokes. They're attacks with plausible deniability built in. Number 4. You're the one who always starts the drama. This is projection and blame shifting rolled into one. Think about how this plays out. They do something harmful. You bring it up. They accuse you of starting drama. Now the conversation is about your behavior instead of theirs. That redirect is intentional. Suddenly, you're not explaining what hurt you. You're defending your character, proving you're not dramatic, listing all the times you stayed quiet to keep the peace. You've been moved from offense to defense, and that shift is exactly what they wanted. Does that cycle of being blamed for drama feel familiar to you? Give this video a like if you've ever felt exhausted by that specific redirect. Because this isn't a conversation. It's a battle for control of your reality. Number 5. After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me? This phrase creates false indebtedness. It suggests that because they've done things for you in the past, You owe them immunity from criticism now. Let's say you're trying to set a boundary about unannounced visits. Your parent responds by bringing up how they paid for your college tuition. Suddenly, the conversation isn't about your reasonable request. It's about how ungrateful you are for everything they sacrificed. The exhaustion comes from an invisible ledger that never gets balanced. You're perpetually in debt for love that was supposed to be a gift, not a loan. Every time you try to assert yourself, they add interest to what you owe. These first 5 phrases are about distorting your past. They rewrite what happened so you can't trust your own memory. But the next 4? They're designed to control your future by isolating you from the only people who could actually help you see the truth. This is where gaslighting moves from confusing to genuinely dangerous. Phrases 6 to 9. Isolation and control tactics. Number 6. No wonder nobody else can stand you. This phrase is designed to isolate you from your support system. The message is that everyone sees what they see, that you're the problem. It makes you feel alone and reinforces the idea that their perspective is the only valid one. The manipulation deepens when you start believing it. You sit in the quiet of your own apartment, drafting a text to a friend about what happened, then deleting it before you hit send, because maybe you are too much for them too. When you believe nobody else would understand or take your side, you stop reaching out. You stop talking to friends about what's happening. That isolation is exactly what makes gaslighting so effective. Without outside perspectives to reality check against, you're stuck in their version of events with no way to verify your own experience. Number 7. You have a bad memory, that's not how it happened. This one goes beyond denying a single event. It's an attack on your narrative authority, your right to be the author of your own life story. When someone consistently tells you your perception is faulty, they're not just correcting facts. They're trying to seize the storytelling rights to your entire past. The danger escalates because once they control the narrative, they get to decide who you are, what you've been through, and what you're allowed to feel about it. You start deferring to their version of events. You let them make decisions for you. You second-guess every boundary you try to set, because maybe you're misremembering why you needed it in the first place. But once you recognize this tactic, something shifts. When you stop letting others narrate your past, you regain the power to write your own future without needing anyone else's permission or approval. Number 8 is the most dangerous because it actually sounds like an apology. But if you look closer, it's a way to shut you down while looking like the bigger person. Here's the subtle distinction that changes everything. Number 8. I'm sorry you feel that way. This is the non-apology that sounds reasonable on the surface, but actually shifts all the burden back to you. Imagine your sibling shows up 2 hours late to your graduation dinner. When you tell them it hurt that they missed most of it, they respond with, "I'm sorry you feel that way." Notice what's missing. A real apology would be, "I'm sorry I was late and missed your dinner." This phrase is a masterclass in appearing to take the high road while avoiding any actual accountability. The real power of this phrase is how it creates false peace. You accept the non-apology because continuing the conversation feels more exhausting than just letting it go. That acceptance becomes a pattern. Over time, you stop expecting real repair and start settling for whatever performance of remorse they're willing to offer. Pay attention to how often you hear, "I'm sorry you feel," versus, "I'm sorry I did." That distinction tells you everything about whether someone is genuinely trying to repair harm or just trying to end the conversation. This last one is the nuclear option. It's what they pull out when they realize they're losing their grip on you. When every other manipulation tactic has failed, they go straight for your heart. Number 9. If you really loved me, you wouldn't bring this up. This is emotional blackmail disguised as a statement about love. It makes addressing problems incompatible with caring about the relationship. The implication is that real love means accepting their behavior without complaint. But that's backwards. Real love includes honesty about what hurts. When someone tells you that bringing up legitimate concerns means you don't love them, what they're really saying is that your love is only acceptable when it's convenient for them. Here's what connects all 9 of these phrases. They're not random reactions. They're a system of control. Each phrase serves a specific function in keeping you off balance, doubting yourself, and focused on managing their reactions instead of trusting your own experience. The memory phrases make you question your past. The isolation phrases cut you off from people who could validate your reality. The accountability phrases ensure you never hold them responsible for harm. Together, they create a closed loop where you're always wrong and they're never accountable. That's not family conflict. That's manipulation with a blueprint. Recognizing these phrases is your first step toward breaking the autopilot response where you immediately doubt yourself. Here's something practical you can use today. The next time you hear one of these phrases, try this response. I hear you, but I need some time to think about this. Then step away. You're not engaging with their manipulation. You're not defending yourself. You're just creating space to reality check with people who aren't invested in keeping you confused. We've covered 9 phrases today, but there are definitely more. What's one phrase your toxic family uses that didn't make this list? Your insight in the comments could help someone else recognize what's happening to them. If these patterns feel familiar, consider talking to a therapist who specializes in family dynamics. Now that you know the phrases, the next step is learning how to actually set boundaries without the guilt. Watch this video next to learn exactly what to say to protect your peace. Subscribe for more psychology content that helps you understand what's really happening. Thanks for watching.